Every morning you wake up to noise, messages, deadlines, expectations. The world pulls you in 100 directions before you've even taken your first breath of calm. We spend our days chasing things. A better career, a better body, a better version of ourselves that somehow always feels just out of reach. And yet, with all this chasing, most of us rarely stop to ask, what exactly are we chasing and why? We live in an age of abundance, but we are starved for peace. We have more comfort, technology, and convenience than any generation before us. And yet, anxiety, burnout, and loneliness are at record highs. It's as if we've mastered everything, except ourselves. We are overstimulated but underfulfilled, surrounded by constant motion, yet unsure of where we're truly going. Thousands of years ago, the Stoic philosophers faced a world just as chaotic as ours. Plagues, wars, political corruption, betrayal, death. And in the middle of that chaos, they asked the same question we should ask today. How can a human being live well, even when the world isn't? From Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor burdened with immense power yet striving for humility and clarity, to Epictetus, a slave who found freedom not through rebellion, but through mastering his mind, to Seneca, a statesman who learned that wisdom is measured not by wealth, but by how calmly one faces loss. Their teachings still whisper the same message across the centuries. Peace is not found by escaping life, but by learning how to live it rightly. The Stoics believed that the secret to a good life was not in changing the world, but in changing how you see it. They discovered a way to turn pain into power, fear into focus, chaos into calm. And today, as the modern world pulls us deeper into distraction and noise, their wisdom feels more necessary than ever. So in this video, we're going to slow down, to breathe, to listen, and to rediscover the forgotten art of living well. These are 7 timeless Stoic lessons that will change how you see life, and maybe, just maybe, help you return to the peace that's been inside you all along. Let's begin. Before we understand what Stoicism teaches us, we have to first see the problem it was meant to solve. Part 1. The modern chaos of living without philosophy. We live in a time of endless information, and yet we understand so little about ourselves. Every day we scroll through thousands of opinions, we absorb hundreds of advertisements telling us who we should be, what we should want, and what we should fear. And in the process, something subtle but vital disappears: our ability to think for ourselves. The modern mind is constantly reacting to headlines, to comments, to the next small dopamine hit from our screens. We've built a society that rewards speed and outrage, but neglects reflection and wisdom. We call it staying connected, but what we're often connected to is noise. We're constantly comparing our lives to others, measuring our worth by numbers, likes, followers, dollars, status. And still, deep down, we feel like we're falling behind. There's a quiet kind of suffering that lives beneath modern success. The feeling that no matter what you achieve, it's never enough. Seneca saw this thousands of years ago. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Even in ancient Rome, surrounded by power and wealth, people were drowning in distraction. Different tools, same disease. Today, our distractions just glow brighter. They fit in our pockets. They follow us everywhere. We've confused busyness with meaning. We mistake activity for progress. And when life finally slows down, when the noise fades, many of us don't even know what peace feels like anymore. We chase pleasure, thinking it will bring happiness. We chase recognition, thinking it will bring validation. But every pursuit comes with a hidden cost: dependence. When your peace depends on how others see you, you lose control of your soul. When your happiness depends on circumstances, you hand over your power to things that will always change. The Stoics called this the tragedy of misplaced control. We try to control the world when we can barely control our own minds. Epictetus, born a slave, understood this better than anyone. He had no wealth, no freedom, no status. But he discovered something his masters couldn't touch: the freedom of inner control. He said, "Some things are up to us and some are not." It sounds simple, but think about how rarely we actually live that truth. We stress over how people treat us. We obsess over results we can't predict. We get angry at traffic, at weather, at the past. We fight the world instead of understanding it. And in that fight, we lose our peace. Marcus Aurelius, writing alone in his tent after battles, realized that the chaos outside was nothing compared to the chaos within. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The modern world gives us more external power than Marcus Aurelius could ever imagine, but less internal strength than the poorest of Stoics possessed. We can summon a car with a tap. We can speak to anyone across the planet. But can we sit quietly with ourselves for 5 minutes without reaching for our phones? That's the real question of our time. And it's the question Stoicism forces us to face. Because the truth is, our suffering doesn't come from the world itself. It comes from our reactions to it, from the stories we tell ourselves about what happens. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we refuse to accept what we cannot change. We suffer because we expect the world to match our desires, instead of shaping our desires to match reality. Every generation believes its problems are unique, that life has never been this hard, this fast, this uncertain. But the Stoics would smile and say, "It's always been this way. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be loss. There will always be things you can't control. The question is, will you let them control you?" The Stoics believed that philosophy wasn't a luxury for scholars. It was a necessity for living. It was a tool for survival, a way to stay grounded in a world that constantly tries to pull you off balance. They believed that the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. That peace doesn't come from what happens to you, but from what you choose to believe about it. And that's the heart of our modern problem. We've built a civilization that teaches us everything, except how to think clearly and live wisely. We know how to code apps, trade stocks, design rockets, but not how to handle anger, failure, or fear. We can build skyscrapers, but not inner strength. So, perhaps it's time we return to the lessons we've forgotten. Lessons written not in code, but in character. Lessons that teach us how to live, not just exist. Because life will always be uncertain. But your response doesn't have to be, "We can't slow the world." But we can slow ourselves. We can't control what happens, but we can control who we become. And that is where Stoicism begins. Now that we've seen the problem, let's explore the timeless solution. The Stoics left us 7 powerful principles that redefine what it means to live a good life. Part 2. The Stoic Solution, 7 Principles that Redefine Life. The Stoics never promised a life free from pain or problems. They didn't teach you how to control the world. They taught you how to control yourself within it. Their philosophy wasn't built for lecture halls. It was built for battlefields, for loss, for ordinary days when everything feels like too much. These 7 principles, their core truths, are as relevant now as they were 2,000 years ago. Not because they change the world around you, but because they change the way you see it. Let's begin. Principle 1. You can't control everything, but you can control yourself. Epictetus began his Enchiridion, his handbook for life, with one line that changes everything. Some things are up to us and some are not. Everything that torments you fits into one of those 2 categories. But most of us spend our lives mixing them up. We waste energy trying to control what people think of us, trying to control luck, time, outcomes, when in truth we control none of them. What we can control is simple: our thoughts, our actions, and our choices in this moment. The Stoics called this understanding the dichotomy of control, and they believed it was the foundation of freedom. Imagine your peace as a fortress. If you keep its gates open to every external event, you'll forever be vulnerable. But once you guard it with clarity, knowing what's yours to manage and what isn't, you become unshakable. Principle 2. Everything is temporary. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, wrote to himself each night, "Everything we see is changing. The universe is change. Life is opinion. Every joy, every sorrow, every success, every failure, all will fade. And yet, we live as if everything should last forever. We try to freeze moments, cling to people, hold on to youth. But the Stoics taught that impermanence is not a curse. It's a reminder. When you remember that everything is temporary, you stop clinging and start cherishing. You realize that love means appreciation, not possession. You realize that loss is not the end, but a natural part of the flow of life. Everything changes, and in that change lies the beauty of existence. Principle 3, remember, you will die. To the Stoics, death wasn't morbid, it was liberating. Memento Mori, remember you must die, was not a threat, but a call to wake up. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you truly remember death, you stop postponing life. You stop waiting for the right time to begin. You stop arguing over small things. Knowing that you will die someday doesn't make life darker. It makes it brighter, because now you see how precious each moment really is. If you knew you had 1 year to live, what would you do differently? How would you treat the people you love? How carefully would you guard your time? That's the spirit of Memento Mori. It's not about fear, it's about focus. It teaches you that life is short, yes, but it's still enough if you live it deeply. Principle 4. Pain is your greatest teacher. The Stoics didn't avoid pain, they studied it. They understood that suffering is not what happens to you, it's how you interpret it. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, sickness, and loss. Epictetus was physically crippled as a slave. Seneca was ordered to die by suicide. And yet, their writings radiate calm, not bitterness. Why? Because they saw pain as a teacher, not an enemy. Marcus wrote, "The obstacle on the path becomes the path." Pain forces growth. It burns away illusions, pride, and weakness, revealing what truly matters. When you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" you transform suffering into strength. Principle 5, your mind shapes reality. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things. The world is neutral. Events are just events. It's our interpretation that turns them into good or bad. You lose your job, you might call it tragedy, or you might call it opportunity. Same event, different mind." The Stoics believed that our thoughts are the architects of our experience. Change the thought and you change the world. This doesn't mean denying pain. It means refusing to let pain define you. When you master your mind, you discover that calm is not the absence of storms. It's the ability to remain still within them. Principle 6. No one is truly independent. Modern culture worships independence. But the Stoics understood that true strength is not isolation, it's cooperation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids. No person is an island." Even the Stoics, who valued inner strength, believed we are parts of one larger body, humanity itself. To live well, you must live for more than yourself. You must see others not as rivals or obstacles, but as fellow travelers sharing the same fragile journey. Help them, forgive them, understand them. Principle 7. Live according to nature with purpose and virtue. The Stoics believed that the ultimate goal in life is to live in harmony with nature. Not the trees and rivers, though that too, but human nature. Reason, virtue, integrity. You can't control your fortune, but you can control your character. Every day they ask themselves 4 questions. Am I living with wisdom, seeing things clearly? With courage, doing what's right, not what's easy? With justice, treating others fairly? With self-control, mastering my desires? Those were the 4 cardinal virtues, and they believed a good life was simply one lived by them. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's Stoicism, not endless thought, but right action. Not escaping life, but engaging it with strength and serenity. These 7 principles are not theories. They are practices, tools to help you navigate life when it hurts, when it's uncertain, when it feels unfair. They won't remove pain, but they will reveal peace even in the middle of it. And that's the Stoic way. Not to be untouched by life, but to be unbroken by it. Part 3, Practice. Applying Stoicism in daily life. Philosophy is useless if it stays in books. The Stoics knew that wisdom means nothing unless it's lived. They didn't see Stoicism as an idea to admire, but as a discipline to practice, a way of training the mind every single day. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations not to publish, but to remind himself how to live. Epictetus taught his students that philosophy was like exercise. You train daily or you lose strength. So, how do you practice Stoicism in today's world? How do you apply it when the email floods in, when someone insults you, when plans collapse, when your mind won't stop running? Let's explore the daily Stoic practices, simple, grounded rituals that can reshape how you live. 1. Begin each day with reflection. The Stoics began each day by reminding themselves what was coming. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But none of them can harm me." That wasn't cynicism, it was preparation. He wasn't predicting negativity. He was training his mind to expect reality, so that when difficulties came, he wouldn't be shocked, only ready. In your own life, this might look like a simple morning reflection. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? What emotions might tempt me off balance? How can I respond with calm and integrity, no matter what happens? This short practice transforms your mindset. Instead of being surprised by life, you begin to anticipate it. Calmly, wisely, like a soldier preparing for weather, not war. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. But it's not about pessimism. It's about strength. You can't always choose your day, but you can always choose your attitude. 2. Pause before you react. Epictetus said, "When something happens, don't rush to judgment. Ask yourself first, is this within my control?" That pause, that tiny space between stimulus and response, is where your freedom lives. Modern life rewards speed, instant answers, instant reactions. But wisdom grows in the pause. That's where the Stoic lives, in the small gap between emotion and action. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic, before anger rises, breathe. Remind yourself, can I control this? If not, let it go. Next time someone insults you online, remember, their opinion is their responsibility, not mine. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." And that's a superpower, because most of the time, peace isn't something you find, it's something you don't lose. 3. In moments of difficulty, turn obstacles into opportunities. When life gets hard, our instinct is to resist. But the Stoics trained themselves to see adversity differently. They believed that obstacles are not interruptions, they are the path. Marcus Aurelius wrote the famous words, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This means, everything that challenges you is material for growth. Each problem is an opportunity to practice virtue. Someone betrays you? Practice forgiveness. Plans fail? Practice patience. You fall short? Practice humility. That's the Stoic way to resilience. Don't wish for an easier life. Wish for a stronger self. 4. End each day with gratitude and review. Seneca recommended ending each day by reflecting honestly on how you lived. He wrote, "Each evening, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I pass nothing by." The Stoics called this practice evening review, a daily audit of your mind. Ask yourself, where did I lose my temper today? Where did I stay calm? What did I do well? What can I do better tomorrow? This is not self-criticism. It's self-awareness. Is progress measured not in achievements, but in character? Because gratitude, the Stoics believed, was the highest form of wisdom. Turns whatever you have into enough. 5. Keep philosophy close, read, write, reflect. Philosophy is not just for reading, it's for remembering. Marcus carried his own journal. Seneca wrote letters to remind himself how to live. Epictetus taught his students to rehearse ideas until they became instinct. In a world of constant distraction, keep wisdom close. Write down one Stoic quote each morning. Repeat it through the day. Reflect on it at night. For example, I can't control events, but I can control my mind. Every obstacle is an opportunity to practice virtue. Amor fati, love your fate. The more you repeat these truths, the more they shape your thinking. 6. Practice amor fati, love of fate. Not just accepting what happens, but embracing it, fully, willingly, as if you had chosen it. It's easy to love what's pleasant. It takes courage to love what's painful. But that's the Stoic secret. When you learn to love reality exactly as it is, you stop fighting life and start living it. Nietzsche, centuries later, called this the highest form of strength. To look at everything that happens, good or bad, and say, yes, this too is part of my story. Try this. The next time something goes wrong, a delay, a rejection, a mistake, say quietly to yourself, amor fati. Then ask, how can this serve me? What can I learn? It's not denial, it's transformation. You turn every event into fuel for growth. 7. Return to the present moment. Epictetus said, there is only one way to happiness, to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. And the only place your will truly exists is now. The past is memory. The future is imagination. The present is all you ever really have. Whenever your mind drifts, to regret, to fear, to anxiety, gently bring it back. Feel your breath. Notice the world around you. Return to this moment. The Stoics practiced mindfulness long before the word existed. They understood that peace is not found in escaping reality, but in being fully awake to it. Because when you master the present, you master life itself. These practices aren't complicated, but they are powerful. They train your mind, little by little, to move from reaction to reflection, from chaos to clarity. Philosophy is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming present. Every day, every moment, you have a choice. To live unconsciously or with awareness. To chase or to breathe. To react or to respond. That's the daily work of the Stoic. Not to escape life, but to live it, fully, calmly, wisely. Part 4. What happens when you live stoically? What happens when you live stoically? When you stop being ruled by every emotion, every fear, every desire, and start choosing your response with clarity and strength. It doesn't happen overnight, but little by little you begin to change, not just how you act, but how you see. 1. You stop being a slave to circumstance. You used to react to everything. A rude comment could ruin your day. A failure could destroy your confidence. A delay could fill you with frustration. But when you live stoically, you realize nothing outside of you has the power to control your peace. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You become the calm in the middle of the storm. Life still throws its waves at you, but instead of being tossed around, you learn to stand firm. This isn't indifference, it's mastery. A quiet strength that comes from understanding what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. 2. You find strength in the things you once feared. The Stoic doesn't run from pain. He meets it and asks, what can I learn from this? Over time, something powerful happens. The things that once terrified you, failure, rejection, loss, begin to lose their grip. You stop asking life to be easy. You ask to be stronger. Seneca wrote, fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men. When you face pain with patience and reason, you discover that it cannot destroy you. In fact, it becomes your greatest teacher. The obstacle becomes the path. The wound becomes wisdom, and suffering turns into strength. 3. You learn to appreciate what's already here. Living stoically means living awake. You stop chasing the future and start noticing the present. You begin to appreciate things you once took for granted. The taste of morning coffee, the warmth of sunlight, the laughter of someone you love. Because you remember that everything is temporary. And that realization, instead of making life darker, makes it shine even brighter. Marcus Aurelius said, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. You no longer rush through your days. You inhabit them. You live deliberately, fully aware that each moment is borrowed time. 4. You become kinder not because you're weak, but because you're strong. When you start understanding your own mind, you begin to understand others too. You realize that everyone, even those who hurt you, are acting from their own pain, confusion, or fear. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, you will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly, but none of them can harm you. The Stoic doesn't retaliate with bitterness. He responds with reason, and sometimes even compassion. You learn to forgive faster, to speak softer, to judge less. Because when you no longer need to prove yourself, you're finally free to be yourself. 5. You feel a deep, quiet peace, even when life isn't perfect. This is the final transformation. You don't escape life, you embrace it. You stop expecting the world to bend for you, and instead, you learn to move gracefully within it. Your happiness no longer depends on luck or others or outcomes. It comes from the way you think, the way you act, the way you are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the heart of Stoicism. It's not about living without emotion. It's about feeling everything deeply and yet being unmoved by it. Not cold, but composed. Not distant, but deliberate. When you live stoically, you begin to notice the quiet miracles. How little you actually need to be content. How beautiful a simple life can be. How peace was never lost, you were just looking in the wrong place. You stop existing by reaction and start living by intention. You stop asking the world to calm down and start calming yourself. That's the transformation. Not louder, not richer, not more successful, but steadier, wiser, freer. Part 5. The Stoic way to live with purpose, presence, and peace. When you strip away all the noise, the fears, the ambitions, the distractions, what remains is simple. A desire to live well, to live meaningfully, to live according to nature. This final Stoic idea isn't just a philosophy. It's a compass for life. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." To live according to nature means to live in harmony with the way the world truly is, not the way you wish it were. It means to act with reason instead of impulse, to live with virtue instead of vanity, to be guided by purpose, not pleasure. The Stoics believe that happiness isn't something you chase. It's something that happens when you live rightly, when your actions align with your values, when your thoughts align with truth, when your heart aligns with nature itself. 1. Living with virtue, the Stoic compass. The Stoics divided virtue into 4 essential pillars: wisdom, courage, justice, self-control. These 4 form the structure of a good life. Wisdom, to know what truly matters and what doesn't. Courage, to act rightly even when it's hard. Justice, to treat others fairly, to see humanity as one. Self-control, to govern yourself, not be ruled by desires or emotions. They are not abstract ideals. They're daily practices, quiet, consistent choices. To pause before reacting. To speak kindly when you could stay silent. To stand firm when fear whispers to run. This is the Stoic way of strength. Not loud, not dramatic, but deeply steady. 2. Purpose over pleasure. Modern life tells us that happiness is found in more money, more success, more experiences. But Stoicism whispers a different truth, that peace is found in less. Less desire, less attachment, less noise. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." You can possess the whole world and still be restless inside. But when you master yourself, your cravings, your fears, your anger, you find a freedom no fortune can buy. True pleasure, the Stoics would say, is the quiet satisfaction of a clear conscience. The calm that comes from living honorably. The joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. 3. Presence, the art of living now. So many people live everywhere except here. They live in the past, replaying regrets. They live in the future, imagining fears. But life only ever happens in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, confine yourself to the present. When you stay present, the weight of life becomes lighter. You stop resisting what is. You start participating in what is happening now. The Stoic doesn't run from the moment. He meets it with acceptance, with awareness, with peace. 4. Finding stillness in the storm. Stillness is the foundation of Stoic peace. It's not the absence of chaos. It's calm within it. When your mind stops reacting to every wave, you begin to see the ocean. You realize that life's noise doesn't define you. You're the awareness behind it, the quiet observer who can choose how to respond. Marcus wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." You don't need to escape to the mountains to find peace. You can find it in the middle of a busy street, if your mind is steady, your heart aligned, and your purpose clear. 5. Closing reflection. The Stoics didn't just teach how to endure life, they taught how to live it fully. To love deeply, to think clearly, to act justly, and to die peacefully. In the end, Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. It's not about escaping life. It's about embracing it as it is. Because when you see life through Stoic eyes, you stop fighting what you cannot control and start living what you can. You stop chasing happiness and start being it. Peace is not found in the world. It's found in your mind. If this message spoke to you, subscribe for more timeless Stoic wisdom to help you live with calm, clarity, and courage. Ancient philosophy for the modern mind.